Hello, everybody. I'm Kipp Snow. I'm the director of the Transportation Distribution and Logistics Institute at the Community College of Baltimore County.
Hi, and I'm Mike Singer, Community Manager, Baltimore and Chesapeake Bay Shipwatchers. We are a local maritime advocacy group, and still can't say it. And we do whatever we can to help promote everything to do with the Port of Baltimore.
Oh, we had a busy week, didn't we?
We did.
Yeah.
We did.
We're gonna go ahead.
Yeah, we'll cover the
we'll
cruise, but
we'll get into all that. Why don't we move ahead into our shipping update first?
Yeah, that sounds good. So we're always talking about trying to keep track of the container traffic, and we've been doing this. We've been doing these truck transactions. So this week, actually, I guess we've been recording on Saturday a lot because
past couple of weeks, yes,
right, and so this week, when we talk about our daily average, like how many truck transactions per day, we don't have Friday. So we had to just divide by 4. So this is the first week where we've actually come down just a hair.
Okay.
I mean, when we average the transactions per day, last week was 2750 per day. This week we've come down a little bit to 2608, but we don't have Friday.
Sure.
So, but let me see while we're here. So here we are at the website. I like to talk about this. I like to talk about.
Well, it's got good information on it. You should talk about it.
Right. But we're always kind of. I just have a perception that people might be bored with this part of the. Right. But I always like to show, because you don't know who's tuning in for the first time. You don't know who hasn't really looked at the website much or explored it much. And maybe we should run through it one day. I don't know.
That's probably a good idea. Yes.
Yeah, let's do that someday. But so we're just going to talk about the schedule. Go down here to shipping links, click on that, come down here to container ship schedule. Here's the schedule. And so you can see how busy this week was.
Oh, yes.
And when we talked about, it's been our mantra, for lack of a better term. That's not the right term, but when we're talking about, gosh, these containers aren't coming back. They aren't coming back. We've got one evergreen ship, and so I'm going to have to stop talking about it, because for September, let's look. Here's 1, 2, 3.
Look at the 14th.
4, 5 evergreen ships. Now
that is huge.
Right. Now this 14th, that's just not. That can't happen. Some of these will, right? I mean, you know that.
What are they drop kicking them off the back end of the ship as it fishtails across the terminal? What's going on there, man?
Well, I don't know how they run this, but my guess would be that they get an initial slot, and then things wind up moving, and they know they're going to move, and they're like, there's no way we're getting 5 ships in here. So,
sure.
We know it'll kind of even out later on in the month. But so this is next month, which is just in a few days.
Sure.
But let's check this out. This is October.
Wow.
And so when, once again, I'm beating a dead horse here. When I kept saying the evergreens aren't coming back. Now this is a month out. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 2 months in a row. We've got 5 evergreen ships. I mean, that's great news.
Yep. That is good.
Again, Just because they're here doesn't mean they're dropping off 2,000 containers at a clip like
Correct.
they were before. But again,
But
they can't do it if they're not here.
correct. Like you have to put the ship back into the rotation, or the scheduling, in order for it to work for those companies to decide if they want to go and utilize that
Right,
service.
right, right. So what else? 8 rows were in town today.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, busy. Oh man, it's too bad I don't have the pictures. So they they put in a new port thruster, a new bow thruster on a Conroe on one of the yellow
Oh,
and white Grimaldi ships.
it was in terminal when we came through on Sunday.
It was. And did you notice what it looked like?
It was sticking way up in the front. Yeah, the front end was
Right.
sticking
Because
way
I
up.
was thinking, how in the heck are they going to do a bow thruster when it's 10, 20 feet in the water?
Right.
And so what I heard is they unloaded the bow and then, trimmed the ballast. And there's some really cool close-up pictures
Oh,
of like the
really?
guys like inside the bow thruster.
Wow. I noticed that on Sunday, and I was like, "What's going on there?" But I didn't know enough to be able to say it on camera yet.
Check that out.
Wow.
Right? Now I think this is Bill McCallan's photo. He's the
Okay. Yep.
port photographer.
Yes, he's got some amazing shots.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Now, take a look at this one. Don't. Wrong one. There we go. Look at these guys.
Oh, wow.
Right?
So for the folks at home who may only have audio,
Uh,
you have about, what is that, about an 8-foot hole in the bow,
I think that's a good guess.
that's and the thruster. So this helps with the ship's navigation. Okay.
Right? So
This
you, if this is the ship, and it's coming along to the pier, it helps the ship move laterally. Without steering like this, it just helps it move basically sideways.
And so there's about about a 6-foot tall prop that's in about an 8-foot hole, or approximately.
Right.
And these two workers are standing right on the inside of it. It's pretty good size.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? I knew I'd save those. I was hoping once I thought about it. And yeah, those are, that's which way is back. Yeah. That's an amazing picture in itself.
But to have the ability to go and set the vessel up in this manner, to be able to go do the work that they need, is impressive.
Right, right. And the fact that we can do it here, which is
Correct.
really cool. And this thing, I think it went to South Locust Point, Fairfield, and Dundalk Marine Terminal.
Huh.
So it,
All over the place.
it just about hit all the possible terminals that it could, or at least terminal areas. But yeah, that's a pretty cool story, and just makes you think about kind of like the background. So how bad was it, and what went into choosing them to do it here?
Right.
It's this logistics thing that always makes me think and wonder about, hey, why did this happen? So why did it happen here? It'd be interesting if we ever find that
If we
out.
can find out. Correct. Yeah.
So 8 rows in town. I think that guy is still here. Let me check marine traffic. Yeah, still here. And it looked like it was leveled out
Okay.
today. And what's a bummer is when we first got back, and I was like, I get home and I'm able to grab the camera and kind of drive it over there. Hey, yeah, let's go see this ship of it sticking out of the water. And guess what's in the way? Fort Carroll. It's like the ship is like behind like Fort Carroll. And I'm like, no, can't see it. But we have some cool
Okay.
people that got us some great shots. Let's see what else. And then I don't have any updates on the ship loader. Remember when the
Oh
ship
yeah.
loader fell on the ship at Curtis Bay Coal Terminal?
Mm-hmm.
I really don't have any updates in that other than all the ships are using the other pier now.
Okay.
So I do have a couple of sources there. So maybe I'll hear something.
Okay.
But yeah. So what's interesting is that the pier that they always use is the one that broke, and then sometimes when they have two ships, they'll use the other pier. So now they're using
The backup pier.
the backup non-preferred pier. I don't know really what that means operationally for them, but
Sure.
anyway. And then this is interesting. So on Wednesday, there was one of those really big Zim LNG ships,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the Zim line of the container ships. And it was supposed to leave Tuesday night. And the next ship that came in, which is the fourth of the Ever M class that you and I had talked about,
Correct.
the Ever Magi, couldn't get in because the Zim LNG was in the way. It was in berth 4. You know, these are both big ships.
Sure.
So the Ever Magi had to go to anchor. So the Zim moves over to Seagirt 1 to get out of the way. And then we found out she lost propulsion.
Mm.
Right.
Really?
Yeah. Did you and I not talk about? We hadn't talked about that at all.
No.
Yeah. So, yeah, I heard she lost propulsion when they went to leave Tuesday night. So
Do you know what happened? I mean, if they're
no.
gone now, I mean,
Yeah, it is gone now. It left like late last night, early this morning.
do you know at what point it lost? Any clue?
There were some folks who, you know, did some little, you know, marine traffic analysis, rewinding things and looking at the track, and they said it didn't make it far from the pier at all.
Oh wow, it was okay.
So,
All right.
but I would imagine that would trigger, you know, Coast Guard approval, right?
Right.
You're not leaving until we make sure everything's okay.
The same thing happened with the Denebula.
Right. Right. Only that was like down by the
Further
Bay
out.
Bridge, but
Correct.
same principle of needing the Coast Guard clearance after an incident like that. Yeah,
All
I
right.
think that's about it for
our shipping update for this week.
Yeah.
There was some big news that came out today. So this is Thursday, the 29th.
Mm-hmm.
There was some big news that came out today on the Key Bridge, or the Key Bridge project.
Yeah. So before we get to the really, really big news, so the state of Maryland received its first insurance payment from the accident.
Saw
right?
that.
So Maryland Transportation Authority has received the first insurance payment related to the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge, according to the Federal Highway Administration. The first payment of $350 million comes from the company that insured the bridge itself, not the cargo ship. So I guess that's what the bridge was insured for.
Okay. that barely covers just a little bit of costs.
Right. I
Yeah.
wonder, would Lloyd's of London, can you write a policy in such a way um, so that it covers more of the cost as things get more expensive and as the infrastructure ages that you're covering? I wonder. Do you know?
No, I haven't. I haven't looked that closely at what the policy was, or you know, w- some initial kind of questions would be like, when was the policy written? Was this thing written when the thing was built? So they probably assumed that
That's
350 million would have covered it, something happening.
that's where
And
the value came from.
yeah, I mean, it's um, I don't know, but that may make a difference in what the the value of the policy amount and the dollar value that the policy in the year that it was went in. So if we're what you know multiple years ago, I mean that value is not going to be the same as it is today. So
Right. So imagine your home insurance policy and it doesn't, which keeps up with the value of your home.
correct.
So just imagine if it didn't.
Yeah, and I don't know if this policy has had any anything written in it that allows for cost of doing business, or exchange rates or inflation or anything like that.
Right, right. And how would you or can you write a policy
It may be
like
that the policy was written um, with the understanding that if something were to happen with other parties involved, like a bridge collapse due to a ship hitting it, that there are other then there are other sources of reimbursement for the
mm,
for the claim, and so they're only maybe like a stopgap. That could
mm,
be
it's
that may be
designed
another.
to it's designed to be that way.
Correct, kind of like your Aflac,
Yeah,
that.
so the big news today, MDTA board approved progressive design build contract for the Francis Scott Key Bridge rebuild. As a part of the progressive design build contract, Kiewit will work alongside state transportation officials to jointly produce the blueprints and then have exclusive rights to build the bridge. Transportation officials have estimated that finishing construction and opening the bridge to traffic fall of 2028, which that's been the target. We've been talking about that.
We should put a counter, a daily countdown, or by the second, Key Bridge will open.
There's got come on, we got to. There's got to be an easy way.
I know, right?
I wonder if you can just run an app.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there's Google code or something we can drop in there that make it quick.
Right. Well, at first I was thinking you got to be able to buy a programmable calendar on Amazon and just
You could
count down.
yeah, you could get one of those LED boxes and stick behind you on the
Right.
on the printer there and count down to the number of days left. Okay.
Hey, it's supposed to be mysterious black box. You're not supposed to tell everybody it's a printer.
I was taking a guess. I had no clue. Well,
Yeah, we can have the countdown like running in the background.
all right.
That would be kind of fun. Um, let's see. So I thought this was interesting. This little nugget that I found in one of the articles. The project is estimated to cost between 1.7 and 1.9 billion. We knew that. Cost estimate should solidify in 6 months once the team reaches the 50 to 60% design
Point. Yeah.
point, according to MDTA Chief Engineer James Harkness, when a guaranteed maximum price should become clear.
Okay.
Yeah. So, like we keep saying, the little details keep coming out.
Sure.
You know, you keep learning more and more. And then were you surprised about this contract? Like, so this is basically the $75 million. I don't know. I want to say like general contractor, like management contract,
Right.
right? I kind of thought it was going to be the big overarching mega mother, if you will. You know what I mean? And I know we talked about that they wanted to have somebody to manage all this.
Hmm.
It would be impossible if you didn't.
Correct.
And that there was going to be this $75 million contract coming out, and we've known this for weeks. But I was kind of a little surprised. I guess I still don't have a thorough understanding of the process. I keep thinking I have a good understanding of it, and then something happens and it keeps surprising me.
Right. The I interpreted that Kiewit was going is the named contractor who's managing that process.
Right.
Um, so I would imagine. Well, I would also guess that now that they are named, that they roles and responsibilities will be identified, and then those nuggets of information will come out, and the subcontractors and the alike. Um, but I also think that there's also been some discussions with subcontractors or potential subcontractors anyway, for some of the related work. So I'm not. Um, I mean, it makes sense to me. I kind of did some investigation on my own about who what the company Kiewit is, and I was able to find this information. It's on their website. They've been
Oh,
around.
okay.
Yeah, they've been around for 140 years. And they specialize in infrastructure projects, in just about everything that we do. And they specifically name projects in industrial based, marine based, mining, oil and gas
Oh.
industry, power transportation industry sectors. Specifically within transportation, they have infrastructure projects that they've put in place and that are for rail,
Hmm.
light rail, and then the big class 1 projects, tunnels, bridges, airports, and runways. I mean, they're doing major highway construction, so they know their stuff. What I found interesting is that they have been involved in 7 design build bridge projects in North America, both the US and Canada. So they are very familiar. I would consider that very familiar with the design build process that the Key
Mm-hmm.
Bridge has been modeled after, the rebuild. And so they know how to do this, and they've done it effectively. They built the Willamette River Transit Bridge in Portland, Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
That's a 7.3 mile cable stayed bridge. Now it's for I know it's for light rail. I get it. It's a rail based, and don't get everybody. Let's not get worked up about. Well, that means they could put train access on the key bridge. No, or the key bridge replacement. That's not what
Hang
this.
on. Hang on. Okay.
But what I'm explaining, why I'm explaining this, is that they do understand how to go and build bridges effectively. Um, they did also do a. This is something else that I thought was interesting. They did in a joint venture with other infrastructure companies, built the Tacoma Narrows Bridge in Washington. That was a suspension bridge, and they used the design build method, but they weren't the top contractor, they were a subcontractor. So to me,
Hmm.
that tells me that they know how to lead the project, and they also know what it takes to be a partner in the project. So they should be able to work in tandem with these other companies to make sure that
They
the
also
construct.
now know how to play nice in the sandbox.
Correct. Thank you. Okay, so that's just by looking at who they are and the information, basic information they provided, they've got some they've got a decent resume here.
Yeah, and a couple things. So a friend of mine that I've known for decades. He and I were like the only two guys in the drafting department in one room in a small company, forever ago. And he had said something like, well, at least one of the companies is Maryland based. And I'm like, and I did explain, hey, you got to go with the knowledge, you have to go with, the best bridge builder or maybe manager for this contract. Um, and then I didn't get a chance to go into it, but it is interesting how much sidebar. It is interesting how much knowledge there is in that camera chat. I mean, it's a whole entire community unto itself, and there are people there that maybe don't hang out on the Facebook group and
Oh, sure.
comment on posts. So we've got local engineers. We've got a guy that helped to build the Tappan Zee Bridge up in New York,
Okay.
and you know kept talking about all this stuff that they did or packaged into the Tappan Zee Bridge. And
Hmm.
But the one thing that one of those guys brought up is, this is such a big project that you're going to have to pull labor from elsewhere. There's not going to be enough people, even if everybody left their other construction jobs, which they probably couldn't because, and I don't know how that would work out. And I'm not construction labor guy. I don't, but there's not enough people in the state to do this job. And so you're going to be pulling people from out of state. People are probably going to be living here for 2 or 3 years,
Sure.
contributing to the tax base, contributing to the economy. So a Maryland company sounds nice, but I'm not sure if it matters.
I want to agree with you. It's going to take a tremendous amount of resources, human capital, human labor, in order to get this thing put together. It's going to take everybody's effort. I agree.
Yeah, yeah. So
All right.
we had a heck of a weekend, didn't we?
Did you? I'm assuming you finally recuperated.
Yeah, it took me a good 2 or 3 days to make up my sleep. I mean, I know I was sleeping, but it sure didn't feel like it.
Yeah, that was All right. So what we're getting at, Mike and I took a trip this past weekend. We were gracious to be invited by the crew of the John W. Brown to be on the ship coming out of Norfolk. It had been in dry dock for the past five-ish weeks,
5-6 weeks,
yeah,
something.
quite a bit. They had quite a bit of work that was done, and then once everything was buttoned up and ready to go, we took a trip from Norfolk at Kalana Shipyard and came up the bay, and we docked about about 8-9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, 9, something around 9, I think.
On Sunday. We have a tremendous amount. We did try to do some Facebook Live recordings so that the
Didn't you kind of feel like you were? I mean, I know that's why we were there, and I think we're pretty good at documenting things for on social media. We're both pretty good at that, and so we just kind of both just dove in, and I
Yep.
was doing Facebook lives and taking pictures, and you had some assets, audio, video, and you had your own concepts and ideas, um, and yeah, we were on a cruise for 2 nights and a day, but gosh, did it feel like we were like running around at times?
It was too much like work.
I
But
know,
I mean,
right?
and
It was like,
now,
okay, no, let's record the podcast in the morning, Saturday morning. And then we were doing other stuff. I can't even remember what. And then, oh, okay, well, now it's 11. Well, we're going to shove off at like 1, so we can't do it now. So okay, now let's do that. Let's do that after dinner. And then we wind up wandering into the engine room and did a whole engine room thing that was
yeah,
kind of like off the cuff, but I think it's going to be awesome when people see it.
right.
Um, but it was just kind of crazy how, we were trying to plan, but stuff kept kind of changing, and we were just kind of going on the fly, but getting as much as we possibly could. And then, even weird stuff. I'm just going to go ahead and so I'm in the bathroom and you can hear that steam pump like 3 decks
Oh
down
yeah,
going
yes. Hmm.
right? And I'm like, holy cow, I
What
can
is
hear
that?
that, right? And then I happen to look out the porthole and I can see the steam, the reflection. The sun is the shadow of the sun is showing the steam the uh, on the dry dock, on the side of the dry dock that the John Brown used to be in, and now she's over here. And so I thought there was this really cool opportunity to take this video, even though I'm in the bathroom, which nobody had to know, but I thought that makes it funny.
Sure.
And right, and so, and I was standing when I took the video, just to clarify. Uh, but so you can hear the steam pump, and then you can see it in the video, and it's reflecting against the dry
Mhm.
dock that the ship used to be in. I just thought that was a really cool thing to catch, and that just kind of happened by accident, you know. Um, so yeah, a lot of stuff happened,
Yeah.
and it was neat to be because you and I have been on that ship before, and we
Sure.
visited on Maritime Day, and you go down into the number one hold where all the people are displayed, and all the stuff. And but it was the first time we were actually like running back and forth, and oh, hey, we know where we're going. Um,
Right. Yes.
and then the guys from Kalana Shipyard came up, and they wanted to go to the store, and I was like, oh,
Hmm.
follow me. I actually know where the heck I'm going. So
Yeah, it was neat to you be able to spend that amount of time and get used to being on there. Um, be sleeping in the bunks, and standing there at the mess hall line and having to eat in the crew the crew mess hall, and just to be able to experience those things was really cool.
yeah.
What Right there at the end, we took a huge group picture of the crew and everybody, and it took that many people to run the thing. I was impressed that you had multiple shifts, and people were. I got to go take my sleep break, and everybody was in 100% operational mode. I was impressed to see all of that. And then
Absolutely.
the but also at um, waking up Sunday morning and then coming into Baltimore and seeing everything, from that perspective, coming through the Key Bridge site, and um, you
Yeah.
know, just maybe some of the raw emotions that's tied to all of that, and just being able to experience all that was really really neat.
And the Bridget McAllis, they're out there doing donuts and giving us the water cannon salute.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
um, yeah, a lot of interesting moments. And people love those, the pilot videos.
Oh, good. Yes.
And I mean,
See those exchanges.
I'm just holding on to my cell phone, nothing fancy, hanging over the side of
Hanging
the
over the
ship.
side.
Hey, get this. This will be cool. And we got so many nice comments about that.
Good. All
Oh,
right.
here's something. Do you remember this? Somebody commented I think it was somebody, was it Diane or was it somebody else? And they said, hey, we really liked the live podcast and we really liked it when you two were together because your kind of relationship that you're kind of feeding off each other during the podcast, and it comes across a lot better um, if you're not just two boxes, if you guys are actually
Right.
together in a video. So
Yeah, because
uh,
right now we're across town. I mean, that's
yes.
yeah.
We'll have to talk about all the crazy stuff we have to go through just to set this up, right? What
Right.
you have to convert your room into, what I have to,
Yeah. And to for that to work, and I've got this tri compartment toolbox on wheels, and having to schlep that thing up, and but no, that was all good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we must really love this stuff, huh?
I tell you what, I I do appreciate though being in that environment, and running the live audience podcast version. That was pretty
That
neat
was
to have people among us to to participate with that.
yeah,
So
kind of bounce off of, and we got a couple of really good comments, and stuff we didn't even expect. So that was pretty nice. So was it really the first podcast on a Liberty ship?
I don't know if there is a Guinness Book of World Record like recording of that, but like when did podcasts really start up? Is this like you know it,
Last 5-10 years?
yeah, so if, let's say the past 5-10
Get
years.
off my lawn. I mean, how the heck am I supposed to know?
How many Liberty ships have been around for the past 10 years?
Not many.
Two. So unless the one out on the West Coast has already got one
Jeremiah O'Brien, right?
correct, unless
Hmm.
they've had one, I'm gonna, they can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm gonna go ahead and claim that one.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's claim that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
For
but
everybody at home though, we've got a tremendous amount of video, pictures, um, you know, stories that have been collected. Uh, Mike and I are going to work to put this together. We've got a couple of of video models that we want to share with everybody. I do have a time lapse of coming out of Norfolk, which is
nice.
pretty cool to look at.
Nice.
I'm glad that I remembered that I hooked the camera up to begin with, or it'd still be sitting there. But
Right. Remember when we like walked by there and you were like, "Oh my god, I
oh,
almost forgot
there's
it."
the camera. I almost forgot it. But we've also um, we with some of the shots that of the engine room and the store, and
Oh yeah, the store segment. Oh yeah,
yeah,
almost forgot about that.
we're going to put those together and do some narration on that, so that everybody can share in all those experiences. Because there's some really cool stories and cool shots and things.
Now, um, it would have been really cool, and I don't know. Maybe we'd need somebody with a lot more audio visual experience than us to be able to film us going down into that hold, that
Yeah,
lower hold, and film it so that people can grasp.
I think that was a one and done. I don't know that you're going to get me back on that ladder.
Oh yeah, you're not. Once I got you to do it, you're like,
Once you got me to do it, and I
I wish I
couldn't
could have
back
got a
out.
picture of your face, dude. You turned around and looked at me like,
But I did
and I
it.
mean, I knew it, but like when I looked down and I was like, as I'm climbing down this ladder, I'm like, what am I nuts?
Yeah.
This is my idea. It wasn't.
For everybody listening at home, we Mike and I and John, right?
John. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, John took us down into the lower hold where they keep supplies for the ship. Um, what they were explaining was that there's not a parts inventory stored in a warehouse somewhere. This is it. Everything that they, things that they need, they keep and hold on to, and they use the cargo hold to store it. But it also helps with some of the weight distribution of the ship. And he showed us around with some of the parts and equipment and things that were stored down there. But it had to have been what, a 3 or 4 story ladder up against a wall that we
Yeah.
had to climb down. It was,
And I mean, it wasn't just, I mean, I don't know. I was fascinated by the immense size of this giant box that
yeah.
we were in, which was how do you know the dimensions?
I don't remember the dimensions off the top now.
I don't know. But
No, but I do remember standing there and you said, "What is that noise?" And we were
right.
like, "That's the water because we're below the water line and that's the water rushing alongside the outside of the ship."
That was fascinating. That was surreal to have that moment and go,
Yeah.
"What?" I can hear the water on the outside of the hull.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. We should I don't know, I feel like we need to talk about this more. Just kind of,
yeah.
this off the cuff thing. I think it's kind of cool. It just
Mm-hmm.
whatever comes to us about, what we remember about that trip, what was fun, what was crazy. And yeah, it was. Remember me saying, "Hey," because when we got up that one morning, and I said, "Oh, we just rolled out of bed. Neither one of us hardly got any sleep. Let's do a Facebook like right now to get our real emotions and the looks on her face. Hair just like whatever and."
If anybody can imagine, if you watch the movie Uncle Buck and Buck gets the call in the middle of the night that he's got to go babysit and he's got to beat his chest and cough the whatever out of his lungs for him to be able to pick up the phone. That's kind of the image that we both were. Oh God, what was that?
Oh, we should have. And then when we finally got around to doing it, like, because I don't know, we were, it was the two of us and Mike, who
Mike
has
Mike Wickline.
Mike Wickline, and a lot of audio visual experience in that guy, and so we're always kind of brainstorming about what's next and what do we want to do and when do we want to do it and by the time we talked about all this stuff and then we went to do a Facebook Live and I was like, no, I don't I don't want to do a Facebook Live right now.
Yeah.
Well, too bad, buddy. That's why you're here.
Suck it up.
It was, and it was an interesting experience to be, to be working.
Yeah.
I mean, because we were working. I mean, we were doing everything we could to pack as much as we could to get as much of the experience as we could on film or photo or audio.
Right.
All right. So
there'll be some things that we'll put together in the next couple of weeks. Everybody will have a chance to enjoy that.
Cool. So another one of our regular segments in the podcast, This Week in Port of Baltimore History. Kipp, this is kind of your baby. You've been running with this. What do you got for us this week?
I'm trying to build this repository of everything for the past 300 years, but frame it around the week, because we've been doing this from a week try to do a weekly perspective here.
And so it might be harder if you pick the day.
Well,
because at least if you do this week, then you got 7 days to.
Yes, and that makes it easier for me in research. Believe it or not, it's not as easy. because you have to look at specific dates within the week when you're doing that kind of research.
Mm-hmm.
Because nobody is listing in the history books this week in the fourth week in
Right.
August. However, I mean, I'm trying to find some different nuggets of things so that at least you can have some awareness, or if you hear something that catches your interest, you can maybe do a little bit more research on it.
Right.
But I found three different things this week. Now I know we're going into Labor Day, but there were three different dates this week that kind of stuck out. 1987. All right, so
Mm-hmm.
1987, August 31st, the Chesapeake and Ohio Railway merged with CSX Transportation.
Ah.
Now, I get it. It's rail, it's not maritime. I get it. No,
Well.
but the B&O Railroad has a huge historical importance with the Port of Baltimore.
Yes, of
That
course.
same that same year in 1987, back in April, B&O in its last corporate existence merged with the Chesapeake and Ohio Railway. So at that point, that's the B&O Railroad. That's your component right there. And they made that final merge to what we know now as CSX
Mm-hmm.
on August 31st, 1987. So that happened this week in history. Let's see, we're last year. So in 2023, Captain Beth Chrisman, who's vice
Mm-hmm.
president of the Association of Maryland Pilots. So we know her.
Yeah.
She was named the vessel sponsor for the Empire State Roman numeral
Oh, that's
the seventh.
cool. I
Yes.
remember that now.
And so this first of the new class of maritime training ships. And so
That are being built in Philly.
look, great.
Oh, you didn't know they were being built
No,
in Philly?
I didn't know that. I knew that they were U.S. based, but I didn't know it was Philly.
And I think it's the Empire State. Like if you go on Dave Boone's Delaware River group,
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
there's actually a picture of the old Empire State
Yes. Mm-hmm.
and the new Empire State pretty much next to each other.
Okay.
Or maybe that's incorrect. Maybe somebody just took a picture of each ship and maybe put the pictures together.
Oh,
I'd have to go back and look, but
all right.
yeah, they're kicking them out, man. It seems like they're building them fast to me.
Liberty ships are going out just as fast, much faster.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And then finally, this is another 2023 September the 1st. The port welcomed Norwegian Cruise Lines to Maryland. So
Oh, right.
So this was after the pandemic, but we had some in News Cruise Line for the first time. They'll have two ships coming to the port, so that was big news. So that's we got some little bit more distant history. I know in last week's podcast we had some far distant history. We're trying to just figure out what's happening during this stretch of week. So those are your 3 points of history from this week in the Port of Baltimore.
Great. And you know what? And the Norwegian Cruise Line, it's pretty occasional. You know, they came in for a few cruises, and then I think they're supposed to be back this fall.
Mm-hmm.
Is it September or is it October?
I just know the fall. I didn't
Yeah.
know
All right, so let's hang on here. Let's do an audible. All right, so here we are back at the website. Okay, so let's just start from the home. So if we go back to our favorite shipping links, come down here to cruise ship schedule. Click on that. Okay, and then so let's see. So you can sort by month here.
That's cool.
Okay, not there.
Oh, there you go.
I don't see it there. Did you see
The
it?
Norwegian Sky is.
Oh, there it is.
Yep. September 7th.
Okay.
Excellent.
Yeah. Oh, here it is again in October. And a bunch of the little river cruise ships.
Yep. Yep.
So this is kind of cool because you can go look at this anytime.
Yeah.
And then the Azamara Journey. Oh, that's a different one. Yeah, every once in a while you get these cool one-offs that come to town,
Oh, sure.
and I think it's like a bigger cruise, and they choose Baltimore probably because they can tour DC,
Ah.
because we're so close. And I mean, if you're bringing people from the other side of the world or something, that's probably what they want to see.
Yeah. 45-minute bus ride down 95 is not that big of a
Yeah,
deal for them.
yeah, yeah. All right, pretty neat.
Okay. Cool.
All right, I think that's all we have for this week, huh?
Think so. I think that's about it.
Yeah. So as we come to the end here, just a reminder. We've got our Facebook group, Baltimore Chesapeake Bay Shipwatchers, with almost 16,000 members. A nice, friendly place to hang out, learn about the port, learn about the ships, why they're here, how long they stay, all kinds of different things. And it really is a nice, friendly environment for everybody, ladies, kids. As a matter of fact, when we do our Wednesday welcome, and how that goes is the members who join during the week, and then we welcome them, all the new members, on Wednesday, and we call it Welcome Wednesday. And um, a lot of the times, most of the people who say, who give a descriptive um, report, for lack of a better term, a descriptive comment, who say how much of a nice place that Facebook group is, are women.
Yep.
So, and I think that's a really cool thing, because I always wanted this to be a place where anybody can hang out, and not just a bunch of foul mouthed people, and other folks aren't comfortable with that.
Sure.
you know, anyway, so and then we've got the website, which is Baltimore shipwatchers.com. And there is a bunch of information on there. We have links to the live stream web camera, this podcast, a store with some swag, t-shirts, hats, coffee cups, sweatshirts. Like we just showed, ship schedules. There's port maps, all kinds of stuff on there.
Lots of information.
And don't forget, we're on Twix and Instagram and YouTube as Balto Ches.
And if you do the audio version of things with podcasts, we're also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Yep. And if you would like to give us any suggestions, email
Mike.
Yes, email Mike at baltimoreshipwatchers.com. And if you're watching this on YouTube, don't be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to be alerted to new podcasts as they come available.
I subscribed, and when I uploaded the podcast, my iPad let me know that it had been updated, or had been published.
I don't know. I got to tell you, that's some kind of cool when you're like, oh, look, my podcast.
Oh. During our last podcast, we had our send-off was actually done by the studio audience, where they all said "Happy ship watching."
Yeah.
I
So
wonder
15 people can get it right. How come you and I can't?
We can't do it right. Okay, that's kind of where I was going with this.
Sorry, didn't mean to steal your thunder.
No. I was wondering, do we need to just cut that out as a recorded clip and just drop it into?
Yeah, we keep saying that. We'll get around to it one of these years.
All right.
You ready?
Yeah.
You count it off.
3, 2, 1.
Happy ship watching. See, that sounded great.
That was all right. All right, everybody, have a good week.
Have a good week.